Well, hey, friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk to you about film. Doesn't film just look better than digital all the time? That's what we're going to talk about today, that film look. And I hope that you have a great time going over this with me. Today I want to talk about that film look as it relates to what you and I remember, the nostalgia of it versus what actually happens. The more I shoot film, the more I appreciate digital in many ways. I love film for the process, and yes, I do make some of my money with film, specifically instant film on weddings, but I also shoot some prints and things like that, specifically with for different wall art type of projects for local businesses downtown. I'll show you some of those later, and I've talked about some before. I even shot some wall art with a 110 camera, the Lomomatic 110 camera that went on some buildings in Portsmouth insides that they were doing a renovation and wanted some cool stuff. I have pictures of that, which things that it kind of looked like here. You know, this big print was, of course, blown up and then AI upscaled in order to fit. You're not going to get a 16 by 20 without a lot of grain on a small 110 format. But my point is, I've got a lot of experience shooting both film and digital, and I want to share with you why I don't think people remember the film look the way we want to remember the film look. So what is the film look? I guess the best way that I can explain it is the remembrance, the concept that film just looks better. And we're going to look at all these images to show you some cool stuff from the Pentax 17 later. But why does film look better? Why do people think it looks better? I think it has to do with the drop off and pick up concept. I mean, I went through a darkroom class in photography in high school. I've been shooting film since I was 8. I really enjoy this stuff. But after high school and developing my own prints, black and white and color and stuff like that, it kind of went out the window until maybe 10 years ago when I picked up film again. At that time, I continued to shoot film up until 2007, 2008, and when I switched to digital completely, and then now I'm back, I guess. And what I remember is just how nice the images looked when I got them back from the lab. Most of us considered the lab the 1 hour photo down the street. You could go down the street and develop your film in about an hour and get prints and negatives, call it a day. Everything was great. But what about when you wanted a really nice image? Where did you go? Well, you went to a portrait photographer and you hired a wedding photographer or some type of specialized photographer for what you were doing. And this was very important because even if they were using 35 millimeter cameras, you might have gotten a better image back than what you would have gotten from, actually, it's almost without a question that you would get a better image back from a photography studio than you would from the 1 hour lab. And that's my point. We don't generally remember the photography studio. When we talk about the film look, we think about those 1 hour development prints that we would get back after dropping our film off. Today, when you send off to the Find Lab or you send off to the darkroom.com, unless you're developing prints yourself or you're developing that film at a local lab, most of you aren't getting your negatives back. And that's a terrible shame. You get some scans back and you don't even have digital, you don't even have prints, whether they're digital or not, doesn't matter. Why is that important? Well, it's because all of that work that you think, that film look, isn't actually free. It's not lost on us. It's not Lightroom, but it is a development software like something you see back here. Check that out. So back here, I'm in my scanning software, and in order to get an image that I'm ready to develop, I have to go through all kinds of stuff. I have to change the sharpness. I have to go through and adjust the histogram, the gradient. I have to change the density of the film to make sure that each slide or each negative that I'm scanning is going to get the proper exposure. I can change the color. I can color key, color mask, and even has great functions that find defects on the film using an infrared light and can get rid of those defects like scratches and blurs. It won't get rid of your face, but it does have software that can smooth skin tones and things like that. When you consider this, the final look in the automated process that you might think is the film look is actually a human eye looking over each individual image before you hit scan. In this case, it's a digital scan going to a digital print process, but it used to be an actual enlargement process through a negative onto photo reactive paper. So let's look a little closer. Let's now talk about that film look. When we realize that this image looks great, not because it's a film look, but because someone actually put their mind to editing it in this film scanning software, well, now we're looking at something different. We can finally start to talk about what that film look is. And in this case, this is Harman Phoenix. They just came out with a Phoenix 2, which is great. Phoenix reminds me a little bit of Kodak Ektar, except instead of pushing towards the browns, Phoenix pushes more towards the reds. And I love these blues that are in here. Reds, yellows, blues. Oh my, it's wonderful. This is Phoenix 200, shot at 400, so it's a little bit overexposed, but you can still see quite a bit of image. Looks nice. And then as we zoom in, I want you to be able to see we're zooming in max, like so much zoom right here. Like, look at this. There's so much detail. And that's my son holding my Fujifilm X100F. So crazy, right? Okay, so when we're talking about the film look, we have to continue to understand that this is still Harman Phoenix, and we have that beautiful film look that we were talking about. You'll see in just a moment how these looks change. Once again, accentuating the reds and the oranges. That's a coral shirt that I'm wearing. Here's Gavin DeGraw. This is so cool. Went to see Gavin DeGraw in concert in Williamsburg recently. So awesome. And I got another cool shot of him a little bit closer. And now we can look and see, once again, from the Pentax 17, and we can see just how sharp that image is. It's amazing. Yes, we see some reds that really point out in the skin tones. Again, that's because the film stock itself lends itself to that kind of a look. Here again, once again, Harman Phoenix, and the oranges and the reds are definitely pronounced. Again, Harman Phoenix. But look at this landscape right here. This cityscape looks beautiful. Lots of detail in the palm trees. Just so much cool stuff going on. I just absolutely love it. Now, as we continue, what has happened? We have now switched. Now we're at Pro Image 100. This is my sweetheart over here, the premium outlets in Norfolk, Pro Image 100. And just look at the detail in this shot as we focus in on it, right? Let me get out here just a little bit. Sorry, guys. There we go. So this shot is amazing. Lots of beautiful color, even detail in the sky. Look at that. Just a wonderful image. We're going to go a couple more here. I want to talk to you about a vignette. This is an important concept. So you'll see as it unfolds here. Here's a bolt on the Great Bridge in Great Bridge, Chesapeake. This bolt is bigger than my hand, and I just think it's awesome. The Great Bridge in Chesapeake rolls up and closes down. It's a drawbridge, but it opens from side to side by opening and closing on these big cogs, these big wheels. I want you to see just how much detail. We're shooting backlit, obviously, into the sky, and look at the detail all throughout here. Absolutely beautiful. In the next shot, we're going to be looking up through, and you can see this, the starburst, which is a nice starburst, but it's not as defined as I would like it to be, but still on the Pentax 17. And what you don't see down here are some pigeons, and they were getting it on. They were having a good old time. And then we step back for the fourth shot to show the Great Bridge with a little bit of subject framing. As you look, you can now see exactly what we're talking about. Just beautiful. So this was Pro Image 160 as compared to Harman Phoenix 200. You can see there's a very different kind of color palette. Now, all of these shots look nice, right? But they got nice because I edited them over here in my Silverfast software. There's lots of different types of software you can use to edit your photos, but to say that it has the film look because it's untouched, well, that kind of takes away a big part of what actually was happening. I want to continue talking about this just outstanding little camera as we look over here at some Cosmo Photo Mono. Now, this is the Dollar Tree General Headquarters, the world headquarters here in Virginia, in Chesapeake. This is an absolutely amazing looking building. It's created in the international style, and the windows are a light blue, and they reflect this. They're very reflective, and they have this blue reflection, and then the accents that run up, like you see right here, those are all stainless steel, and of course it has red brick. Now, I chose to shoot this in Cosmo Photo Mono because I just think the building is outstanding. And when we look at that, we can see that international style that was I guess it became big in the 80s and 90s, but it's really beautiful right here. We can see how everything, we can just see how rectilinear, how nice and straight this lens is. And we can even see what happens when we get a starburst on the top corner. I just think these lines are gorgeous. And then when we look at it, again, we're looking at this lens, just look how straight we're able to keep that keystoning. This is, of course, Cosmo Photo Mono, right? So look at this black and white image scanned using Silverfast SE9, normal stuff, but just a beautiful image. And we can see, I mean, it just looks so classic and futuristic. Now, some people may not like the imperial style, but look at, or the international style, but look at how it's got these counterforming shapes right here, where this is convex and this is concave. These two curves meet one another on this building. I just think it's so cool. So as we think about those kinds of things, we got to say to ourselves, using film, right, has more to do with what you're photographing and when you're photographing it than it does with digital. If you're grabbing your digital camera, you can just kind of pick it up and go, right? You can change all of these settings on the fly. I can change from black and white to color. I can change, in the Fujifilm's case, I can use all the different film simulations that they have. But that's not just a Fujifilm thing. You could shoot with a red filter on, digital red filter on pretty much any camera that's out there. They have different looks like that. So how do you then shoot a color balanced film at nighttime indoors with just the little tiny flash that's on the camera? Well, let's have a look at that as well. So all of the images you're about to see were shot straight through here with the flash. This is Portra 200 pushed to 400 with the flash that's on the camera. I think this is absolutely amazing. So, yes, did I edit it? Sure. I put it on auto, and then I adjust my gradation and my highlights and shadows, and I have to adjust a little bit for color. Luckily, I'm able to talk with the band. They already have lights and things because I do light work with them. So we've already got pretty much the majority of their show color balanced for 5600 Kelvin, which means everything's going to look good when I shoot with flash on my digital cameras. So shooting with the smaller flash looks great too. There's Damien and there's Jackie. This is from Kaboom Box. These guys are my pals. Check out Jackie. She is just hitting it. What a great shot right here. So we got this awesome shot, lots of detail. As you can see, that little flash is just working its hardest heart out right here, but we're not getting so much in the background. So when we're here and we can have a little bit more flash spread and you can see more of the lights are on, we can see more of what's going on. Continuing over here, now we're at one of the sections where she's got a daylight balanced light on her, but we're using back purple lights that are kind of highlighting her. And of course, yes, she does have pink hair. She's got awesome hair, so we're good to go there. And so even in this situation, we've got some fog and some mist, and we get this really awesome, really cool look right there. I'm going to bring it in just so that you can appreciate some of these different parts of it right there. Looks nice. Look in the background right here. It's just really awesome. Okay, as we continue, okay, so from there, I want to bring back out here and show that that's kind of specialized photography, right? But we're not done. If we want to shoot, again, Pro Image 160 pushed to 400, we've got just a shot of my son at my grandmother's house playing the guitar indoors, once again, indoors, and just using that flash. It looks absolutely great right there. And then I guess I got kind of put in the middle. Here's a shot of Damien. Now, it's complete blackout right now on the shot or on stage. So the fact that the little flash right here that you see was able to light up Damien just like that is just absolutely wild. There's a lot going on here, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. And if you look at the guitar, there's a lot of detail in the guitar. Okay, so that brings us back to the beginning. Now that we're back to the beginning, we have to talk about something else. Notice when I decided to show you these images, I didn't show you just the images online. There's a couple of reasons for that. And the first one is, if this is film. Yes, we scanned it digitally. Yes, I printed it digitally. However, it is designed to be viewed as a physical medium, put on a wall and looked at. The media does not do as well. The image doesn't look as good as it could look, although I'm sure it could look great in many instances when you look at it through a screen, right? So if you want to print, if you want to shoot film, especially anything smaller than 35 millimeter, like these half frames or the Lomomatic 110, you truly do need to print it to appreciate it. Two things will happen. The sharpness will be increased based on the type of paper you use. So if you choose a particular kind of paper, whether it's matte or glossy, sharpness and saturation can be improved by the paper, by the finish of the paper, as well as the grain of the paper. Now, this is something you might do more with black and white photography, but if you're printing like I do from my DMP DS40 and DS80, I have a couple of options for paper, but I usually use the DNP paper, and I can choose to make it a glossy or a matte finish. The paper and the paper print process I use is dye sublimation, so I've only got 3 colors that I'm working with: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, so 4 colors. And then a clear film on top, and it looks great. That film is protective. But if you're printing with like a Canon Pixia, what are those really nice Canon printers or whatever it's called, you can have up to 8 colors or 10 or 12 different colors, and you can choose different types of paper to print with. When you do that, you will notice that your image looks different, and that's a part of the learning curve with printing. So I would suggest print your images, especially if they're 35 millimeter or smaller. Well, smaller than 35 millimeter. If you're printing a 110 image, like a Lomomatic 110, you definitely are going to want to print that, because if you don't, then just the digital image will look very grainy as compared to what the actual image looks like. Final thing that I would say is get used to developing. There's nothing wrong with developing your own prints, and it's easy. With less than $100, you can buy a chemical, the development tank, as well as the dark bag, and be developing your own prints at home. Start with black and white. It makes it a lot easier. Shoot your film through a relatively inexpensive point-and-shoot camera that you buy at the local Goodwill. Test it to make sure that it works, and then print it on your own paper. Even if you have to go up the street and print it over at Walgreens, right? They have the 1-hour printer, not photo anymore. You'll save a lot of money, and it's really easy. And you'll find out that shooting film, it's not a look that's better because it's film. It's a look that's better because you did it all yourself. Guys, I'm Rob. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Those of you will ask what I'm using for my creative tools today. Today, you're watching me over here on the YOLOCAM S7 using a 35 or 17 millimeter Panasonic lens. Over here, this camera that you see right here, that's my Panasonic AGCX350. In the background, of course, is my YOLOBox Extreme with everything that I've got going on. And I'm talking to you through just a beautiful blue ember pretty easily. People ask, so I'll tell you again, when I use YOLOBox, I run all of my audio through YOLOBox using my camcorder. So my camcorder is providing the audio, and that is the only audio that I've used today. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Remind you that if you have any questions or want to send me a case of beer or some film, use the PayPal links down below. And I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye for now.